This one that I wrote was a really heartfelt one. Sometimes you write it and you write it in pretty much the same kind of mentality, but I realized afterward that my heart was really in this one. Cheerleaders, and it has an inadvertent pun. I can't believe the pun that's in this poem. I'll leave you to guess at it, but boy, did I deliver a wallop. This is about, I'm thinking more and more about my childhood and growing up in the high school I grew up in, and my high school years and earlier. So, and this poem was really from that period. Cheerleaders. I remember their fragments of Dionysian choreography. Exultant leaps that would not have been out of place in an eccentric production of Electra. The suspended gray cloud ceiling of November, like a solvent and caress, coordinated the day-glow beach club colors of their outfits and streamers. I already knew that I was not one of them, and could never be, that their space was inviolate, but that was only the beginning of my knowledge. You remember what Pindar says about the muses? The violet-haired muses? You remember? I mean, this is another violet, but okay, all right.
What were the school colors, Carl?
We were cyclones. I forgot. What was it? Red and white? I forgot.
Yeah, right.
It was weird. Southside High School.
Right.
Buckle Center, Long Island, New York. This is, okay. I'll read some poems about reading, because that's what I do a lot. Like, I love the way Sartre divided his autobiography. Les mots, words. Reading, that was the earlier part, and then writing. Because it's true, like there are things you read that really stick to you, and that's your tradition. That the things that really stick to you, you might not even know that they're the things that stick the most, but whatever sticks to you the most, perhaps the things you can't even see or remember, that's the tradition. So reading and then writing. The Lady of the Snowflakes. The lady with the snowflakes on the shoulders and collar of her coat returned several library books in their rumpled jacket covers, the gloss of which was smudged away long ago. The revolving doors, muse and music of a life spent in reading, or maybe just a reading life, sporadically brush and squeak as other patrons reactivate them, allowing into the room a censorship of the cold outside air. There are resonant clicks in the radiators, though wondrously unpredictable, like an open design of delayed castanets. The lady borrower of the melting snowflakes has turned away from the return desk, focused on her next selections, the quickness of her thoughts at variance with her motionlessness, the fully merged silence of one long embarked on an infinite voyage, on an endless sea. So I'll read a few more poems about reading.
Yes.
They're fun. Reader on the El Taraval. So you know the part where the El Taraval kind of like goes, and it makes it a right angle turn, and you can see the ocean.
Yes.
You can see the ocean from there. Reader on the El Taraval. Not wasting a glance on the stormy sky and ocean outside, she sat next to the window and opened her book with a private smile. As she read, her gaze was untroubled by what she might have skipped or missed, and moved down the page in continual thrall to the next adventure. She might have sensed me looking on so as to witness her level of attentiveness, but she was in the grip of the story, never thrown back into the troubled, sightless dream. That is, the place just before one comes to again and asks, where was I? And then this poem, I try to implicate San Francisco's geography in this poem about reading, a special kind of reading, as you'll soon see. Between fog and dawn, like the fog bank that tends to engulf at least the western half of the city, forgetfulness was erasing my memory of the opening chapters of the history book I was reading. I must have thought that I would retain the essential facts, but it was dawning on me that I was a different, much more oblivious reader than the one for whom the book was intended. I didn't even recapitulate, but persisted in turning the pages instead, though destined to remember almost nothing of what I had read so far. Hello, long time no see. Okay, this is another one about reading. I called it In the Glass Cage of Readers, because sometimes you can look into a coffee, like to a Starbucks, which is where this was. You can look in and see people reading, and they don't even know you're there. So that's what this is about. In the Glass Cage of Readers, Starbucks, Fox Plaza. I can't tell, glancing through the window, if the lengthy book he is reading is a novel or a technical manual of some kind. I can only see by the very few pages cast to the left of the binding that he has just begun his involvement. The cold winter air sharpens my empathy of where he is in the text, and the focus he will have to bring to it in order to finish reading through this heavy volume. Then his darting eyes will rest, and perhaps even close for a moment, on his more inclusive mind.